Chris Judge, all those people ducked out? Is that what they did?
Yes, they did.
Oh, bunch of punks. I'm going to give him problems for that. I will do that. Cindy at least stayed for a while, didn't she?
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah. Well, there are many words to describe her. Okay, amazing. Okay, she is. Cindy, you're amazing. Anyway.
You were in the original Tron, and you returned in Tron Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like, being in both those movies?
Well, the first one was, both of them I felt very lucky to be in, very honored to be in, but, you know, I mean, it was a job. It's an acting job. You got considered for a role, and I liked it. I had no idea any of it would be the way people consider it now. There's a lot of people that, especially the young gentlemen who play the video games, I mean, it's their inspiration. And I don't think you ever know that going in, that you're going to be in something that people are going to remember. It's generally, especially in the 1980s, we didn't really, early 80s, there wasn't quite the home video market thing yet. I mean, there was maybe beta, but it still wasn't what it is today. And it's so important today. So you don't think of it in that way. It was just an acting job. It was an unusual piece. I had not been in anything like that before, but I wanted to do it once I saw, Jeff Bridges was involved, and they were interested in me to play opposite him and Cindy. I'm sure I answered a very similar question. That was the attraction to it. I didn't know what this process was, the CG thing. Willing to find out. The exciting part is when we got to doing it, I realized that we were all stepping out into something that was still an unknown. That was kind of exciting, a little bit of doing something that could possibly just totally bomb, which almost it did, but it gave birth to something. It helped. It was in the forefront of something that was coming along technologically. And now the video gaming world, which, I mean, it is the video game movie. There isn't anything else, and anything else is a pretender, because Tron took place inside a video game. Okay? And so no other movie, and I'm saying this right now to the camera, no other movie can challenge that assertion. Okay? Assumption, whatever the word. We literally did represent the beginning of the video game world, which outsells movies, music, all other pop culture today. I mean, so far as the most popular form of entertainment. I know, I've raised 4 sons. So, I know. To be, and that's my only claim to cooldom, to being cool, is Tron and any video game I may have done voice work for. I had almost a career of 40 years as an actor, and that's what I'm known for. Okay? So, I love it. And who wouldn't? I mean, I'm very honored to be a part of something. You're very few times in your career as an actor that you can say that you're with something that lives on and has been perceived by the world or audiences, or segments of audiences, that they really love. They take their children to. They have their kids watching. I'm going to find a lot of that in the next 2 days. Believe me, I've heard it all.
So what was it like for you when your sons found out that you were in this iconic movie?
Oh my God, Dad, it's so cool. It's so cool. Oh, it was a huge celebration. Are you kidding me? They all did the Tron pose, and oh my God. I mean, and then when the previews were coming out, a lot of times, especially in theaters around Los Angeles, they had these sort of a light cycle out with the poster advertising the coming of the film. They had several of these mock-ups of the new light cycle. My kids went and posed in front of, with their phones, taking pictures. My son Lee has a license plate, Son of Tron. That's his production company name, by the way, Sons of Tron. Both my sons have a film company that they run, independent film things, and that's called Sons of Tron. So it's a huge impact in our family. And so, yeah, and then the night of the premiere, I took everybody, my whole family, to the premiere so they could go down the red carpet as well at and participate in the whole thing, the parties and stuff. So it was a big thrill. It's been very big for us. You know. It's not something you revisit 28 years later. You do a movie, you go on about your life afterwards, you know, and then suddenly 28 years later, you're back doing the sequel in real time to that, you know. So it's very exciting, very, very exciting. And all things Tron.
Absolutely. Brendan Podger, who's a huge fan, asks, what was it like working with Kate Jackson in The Scarecrow and Mrs. King?
How great that Brendan brings that up, that question, because I just talked to her, what's the time change here? 2 days ago, 3 days ago. When did I leave? I left 2 days ago, but the day before, so it'll be 3 days ago. I've talked to Kate probably 2 or 3 times in the 25 years. We haven't seen each other in that length of time. But Katie, to answer his question, it's like we never left. I mean, we fall right into the same patterns of talking and laughing and joking with each other, which we did back in 83 through 87. And we're actually talking about trying to launch a new Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Since everything old is new again, only we want to do it with our grown kids, with our those two characters' grown kids, and mom and dad constantly getting themselves into predicaments that the kids have to try to come in and bail them out. But since the Cold War is over, they end up in different situations where they're still trying to live out their, you know. I don't know. She's got a concept. We're going to get together on it and try to pitch it to CBS maybe.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, we could bridge both gaps. You know, we bridge both. I mean, Chuck had element, the TV series Chuck had elements of Scarecrow and Mrs. King. I think, you know, we find a new young Bruce Boxleitner and Kate Jackson and that kind of wacky chemistry we had together, and then have us as this sort of the middle-aged, aging, you know, but refusing to go down, you know,
Absolutely.
spies that have still got, you know, still think they have it and are still getting themselves in trouble, and then have that younger audience too that has, I think there's something to it. There may be something really to it. Could do it, you know, because the DVDs and everything, the Scarecrow couldn't be more popular again, and so, you know, I noticed there's sort of a trend in looking back on 80s television, and you know what, I feel pretty, I don't want to sound like an old codger, but we made some good TV back then, by God. It was entertainment. You didn't have to, you could sit back for an hour and enjoy and forget your day for a while.
Yes.
That's really what we're supposed to be doing anyway.
Yes.
Not trying to hit you in the head with messages and this and that and whatever cause for. That's all good too, but you know what? Once in a while, just to have a blithering good time of escape is good from this weary world. In my opinion. So.
Speaking of messages,
Yes. I just gave a message, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, well, I was thinking more about the 4 years you spent on Babylon 5, and there were lots of messages in that series.
Yes, there was. It was great material. Great material. But done in a very entertaining, and I don't mean, you know, entertaining doesn't mean lighthearted. I think engrossing maybe is another word. Engrossing plot lines and characters. You know, I think that's, it was less about the science of fiction. Science fiction. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It was more about relationship. It was more about characters and dealing with each other and the situation. And unfortunately, 2 weeks ago, we lost the original commander of Babylon 5.
Michael O'Hare.
Michael O'Hare. And that shook me up a little bit because I replaced him. But I did get to work with him. You know, he came back very gracefully. Came back, and I admired him for that. I don't know that I had the temperament at that time. I would have told people to. Well, I can't repeat it here. I was a little more fiery tempered in my 40s. But anyway, and it just makes me reflect that we've lost so many others. We've lost since the show went off in '98. I mean, the classic Star Trek, I would go, yeah, that seems natural. Those are much elderly people, but we lost all of them. 6 men, far too young to go. So Mira's not here. Unfortunately, she would have loved to have been here. And she has a legitimate excuse, and knowing Mira for lunch, this is not an excuse, it happened. She's totally misplaced her, or lost her passport. It was at the last minute. She was crying on the phone to me. I was on my way to the airport. I said I would deliver this message to the fans, that she was packed, ready to go, looking forward to it. She and I have been, like Cindy and I have been doing, we had been doing some cons together. We had just done this Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia, with each other, and did some panels about Babylon 5, and it was terrific. It was being back together again. So I just, I'm sorry that this happened. I said I will, believe me, I will, I don't want fans angry either. I will carry on for the both of us, but I kind of feel that way for this show. I mean, it's inexplainable to me why we've lost these people. And they were marvelous guys, and so I'm not going down quite so easy. Okay, I plan on being around.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well,
all right.
You're currently working on a new project, which is part of your not going down.
Yeah.
What do you want to tell us about Lantern City?
Well, Lantern City is a concept that I have a young partner named Trevor Crafts, marvelous young producer, a young writer named Matthew Daly, and the three of us came up, and Trevor came to me with a broad outline of a subject about a drama that obviously I was kind of used to, having just talked to about Babylon 5, a sort of saga type of programming, which is kind of very popular right now with Game of Thrones, we have Boardwalk Empire, we have a number of these things, especially HBO has been doing a lot of these things. And I just want to say in preface, Lantern City, we've been to a lot of places, us as an audience. We've been taken to outer space, we've been taken down to the seas, to a medieval era that is not really historical, but it looks like it's been. Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings. We've been to many places in these sagas, but I don't think we've ever really gone to an entirely steampunk world. Steampunk has been used by Hollywood off and on. There are segments like shows like Warehouse 13 sometimes has done it, a number of shows, but it's really a subculture in science fiction, that subgenre I should say, that we felt could be brought out in a creative way, in an entertaining way, that would take an audience, the average mainstream audience, that if I walked out in the street and I asked you, so what have you ever heard what is steampunk? They would go, what? What are you talking about? Good. You're just the person I want to talk to. Because, first of all, I can't just answer that question either. It's almost a definition is whatever you think it is. I call it Victorian futurism. I would say names like H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, these were the godfathers, so to speak, of steampunk, but it's much more than that too. It's a very creative genre in science fiction that is very popular at these conventions, and I saw a lot of it, and it started to spark my mind. And then when Trevor brought this thing up, and then we fleshed out these characters, he had a rough model, and then that's what I do best, is fleshing out characters. So I came on board, having had Babylon 5 under my belt. I know somewhat of the saga, and Babylon 5 I always said could have been a city on a planet. It could have been something on Earth. But Joseph Straczynski took this and he made it this space station way out in deep space, where all races of alien and human forms met, worked. It was like a United Nations, so to speak. Mm. But that, like I said, it could have been something else, but he chose that because that became his very specific character, that cylindrical, revolving space station out there, a beacon of light in the dark of space, which was sort of that metaphor. And so Lantern City, very much the same way. It's a place, it's in an alternate world, and we don't start the saga there. We started in modern day San Francisco, which would probably end up, hopefully, it will be modern day Vancouver. I don't know. But, so anyway, it's a saga. I sort of liken it to Boardwalk Empire in a steampunk world. It's not a fun place, okay? It's a very serious drama. And it asks two questions. The whole series is very simple, narrowed down to two simple questions. How far would you go to be with the one you love? And what would you do? How far would you go to survive day by day? So all these characters, there's several, we have a large cast of characters, and they're faced with those questions. Two of them are faced with the first question, and all of them are faced with the second question. So there's a love story, I think a wonderful love story in the center of it all.
Basically, what I have with Lantern City is basically at this stage we're just in development, and we have a pitch package. And a pitch package is where you're going to, say, a network. Hopefully, I'd love to do like a cable network where you're allowed a little more expansion in what you can do. There's too many constraints in network televisions in the States, and pitch it to somebody, and hopefully they like it. And as in our business, as in any, it's who you know, it's who you can get into. But I want to aim high. If I have to shoot low, that's fine too. But I want to aim high, like HBO or Stars or Showtime. Somebody like that would be really nice, because I admire their credits that they have. And so hopefully that's it. I mean, basically, I'm trying to be creative that way. You have to basically create your own stuff sometimes. I'm in one of those periods where, of course, with me, I don't work as often as I would like to, because I'm like a workaholic. You know, I'm like addicted to it. So nothing's ever going to be enough for me. But I'm kind of sticking around the same, the science fiction, fantasy, speculative fiction genres, because right now at this time in my life, that's what I'm basically more known for. And go with your strong suit.
I've seen some of the design work for Lantern City. How involved have you been with that?
Oh, very much so. But in helping find the artists, we have wonderful Cecil Kim. We just put those up. I don't know when you saw it, but we have some wonderful cityscapes, some character sketches. We have even more than that, and we've got a nice little trailer too that we've shot that has a kind of gives a flavor to it. But that's like this whole package today. In the old days, you used to walk in, you had a script, you had the old studio exec would sit there and go, "All right, kid, you got 5 minutes, tell me your story." And you'd say, "This is what the script is, blah, 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 blah." Now you have to come in, they want something, they want to see it, they're visual. They're younger people, they're more visual oriented now. You want to see how it's going to play out. And so you have to have it, and that means you've got to spend some money, you've got to really put in some time. But I think we've got something here, because I want to take the audience someplace they haven't been before. And its time has come. And I just, 2 weeks ago, we got word, it was in the trade papers, that ABC has in development. Since we've been online, we've had thousands of hits. Facebook and Twitter. We launched at San Diego Comic-Con, one of the biggest venues in the States. ABC announced that they have 2 steampunk projects in development. Excuse me, but I think maybe we're on to something. Because when you suddenly see competition start to happen, that's good.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's always good. So somebody was looking, I think, and thought, that's something interesting. Now, whether we can get to them, that's fine. I'll go to see anybody, you know. If Disney wants to make a film instead, I'd do that. But I think this we're much more seeing it as an ongoing saga, because it's what I know.
A few months ago, you were crowdsourcing some of the costumes.
And it's a very, since the steampunk community is very much maker-oriented, we have a marvelous guy that's sort of heading up that for us. His name's Tom Williford. He's out of Pennsylvania. He has an entire industry. He makes these incredible prosthetic arms, props. He's done for Warehouse 13. I think, what's the equivalent of Scarecrow Mrs. King today? What's the writer with Nathan Fillion?
Oh, Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon? No. I'm talking about a TV show. He's done a number of props for them, but he's really big in the steampunk
maker community, and they are. And so we've asked.
Oh, you're talking
Please.
about Castle with the...
Castle, yes.
They had
Castle,
the steampunk
yes.
stuff.
They had a thing where he had a gun that was like, and Firefly kind of had a steampunk feel to it. But we want to do a full, I mean, Hollywood has done somewhat. They've kind of danced around it. Nobody's ever done it full on. I guess Wild Wild West did, but not the most popular movie. So, and the original Wild Wild West was probably the original steampunk TV show. But I want to take it now where steampunk is now, and it has an unlimited amount of imagination. So I think it would be very intriguing. But it's not about just steampunk; it just happens to take place there. You don't point that up and going in neon steampunk. It's steampunk. This is what steampunk is, because it's left up to whatever you want steampunk to be. And so we're asking the various. We've had a lot of response. People, and of course that puts us into a question. Then every agent, everybody goes, well, you're asking for a lot of trouble because there's licensing and all kinds of stuff. And we say, we already have that. They've got to sign something and say if they want their stuff used or designed used, they have to be willing to let it go. Because we will also be prepared with lawyers when somebody goes suddenly, my thing was on a television show, and suddenly I think I should be getting. No, you signed an agreement, a contract. That's further on down the line. I think if people want to see something that they developed, actually get maybe a showcase in something, in a scene or scenes, or become something that's a mainstay in it, then we'll talk. And that's everything's open to, But I just want to encourage them because there is such that maker community in the subgenre, and so it's exciting for me because I'm also with a younger group of people that their energy excites me, their imagination, it spurs me on, and it's kind of exciting to help someone in like somebody helped me in a long time ago. Everybody needs that little help.
Yes.
I'd like to also I'd like to find 3 young people and help them and launch them on their way. 3 young stars. I'd like to be able to say I helped them do that.
So are you looking for relative unknowns to start?
Well, yeah. In the sense that, like in Tron Legacy, Garrett Hedlund and Olivia Wilde are still relatively unknown, but yet had a lot of credits. When I did How the West was on way back in the 70s, I'd already been doing a lot of television, but I needed that one central figure, one central character, one central thing to kind of launch you. And that's what I mean by that. You want somebody that has some kind of experience. It'd be foolish to take somebody that's nothing. That's a fairy tale.
Yes.
You're discovered sitting on in a drugstore, sitting on a drug counter like Betty Grable. That's old time stuff. But somebody new, someone on the rise, someone that needs that extra little step up into something. I would be so proud and honored to be able to help somebody like that, because that was done for me. And it's about giving back.
Yeah, and it's also refreshing to see new faces.
Oh yeah. Everybody was a new face at one time, It's trying to keep the new old, or the old face new. So.
What are you planning to talk about in your Armageddon appearances?
Well, I'm sure mostly I open it up to Q&A. I think the best material you can talk about is what the audience asks of you. They always give you the best stuff. And I like the interacting with them in that type of format anyway, because I have a lot of fun with them, joke with them and things like that. But no, I've just been very honored to play, for their reasons, to be in two sort of what is told to me, I don't see it that, I have a hard time seeing it. They said, well, you were in 2 iconic things, and I said, yeah, I guess I was. I didn't, you don't set out to be in that, it's just a character that you worked on, and did well with. And so people want to talk about those 2 characters, that's great. But I'm not one that wants to, I don't want to be living my past career, Tron's one thing. Somebody asked me about Babylon 5, what would you do? And I said, yeah, I think we did that. I think I kind of did it. I don't want to go back there. It's capturing the lightning in a bottle again. You can't. How hard is that? It was the time, the place, the people. Yeah. And but Tron has sort of an ongoing thing going for it. Because we've actually started off on a new era of that, and it kind of changes with the age we're living in. It kind of speaks for the time we're living in, the age of information, and the video game and the computer world. So that's ever changing, the technology, and that's all about it, technology. So I'm happy to talk about any of that stuff.
Terrific.
All right.
Well, thank you for talking to Dark Matter.
You're welcome.